What's up, everybody? Happy Saturday. I am excited as we are in the back end of finishing up this book with Start Your Why. For those who have been reading and staying along with the ride, it's been really fun this fall. Just kidding, I'm not going to talk in a British accent today. But we're going over chapters 11 and 12, aka part 5 of this book. It's a pretty nice little thick chapters. Well, chapter 11 wasn't that big, but chapter 12 was pretty solid. So a lot of good gems that we can touch on from there. If you did not, hopefully y'all were able to read chapter 10. Communication is not about speaking, it's about listening. If you haven't, please go read that because it's honestly extremely powerful. And there's a lot that goes into being able to connect and create some genuine, authentic relationships that was talked about in this chapter. But in that process, chapters 11 and 12, that being said, I'll remind everybody at the end of the call, but I will throw the next book in the TGF Book Club chat with the information, meaning the links to buy, the links to download, and the audio so that you guys got it. But in the meantime, does anybody want to kick us off? Talk about chapters 11 and 12 or 10 if they wanted to touch on anything from them.
I can go over chapter 11.
Okay, bet. Oh, just chapter 11?
Yes, because I haven't read chapter 12 yet. But I did read chapter 10.
Okay, bet.
That was a
Smooth.
really, really good chapter.
Smooth, yeah, yeah. I mean, you got it, girl. Appreciate you volunteering that.
Yeah. Um, I'm honestly, I can't. I'm driving and I have to look at these notes, and there's a lot of traffic. I need like 10 minutes or like
You're
5 minutes.
you're good. What's up, Tay? You wanna kick us off?
Y'all hear me?
I can hear you. Yes, sir.
All right. So I didn't get to read 12, and I'm new to the book, so I didn't get to read 10 either. I was debating whether I should start from the beginning or just start where y'all are at. So
Yeah.
started where you at, but I realized I'm gonna try to catch up. But I have read 11, haven't got to 12 yet. I'd say just what resonated with me was just the whole talk about the Walmart guy and how the what it started as is not what it came to. And the problem being that the why wasn't translated to everybody involved, um, which just puts the importance of what we doing this for, and that being relayed across the board. And I just look at that as far as where I'm at and what I'm doing. And I've been taking a lot of deep dives into every aspect of me and my music, um, how people see me, how I see myself, how I want people to see me, and all that dives into, I mean, from aesthetics to my vocabulary, to the things that I pour into. So that just resonated with me, knowing that I would want what I started to be the same throughout, whether I'm included and not, the Tay legacy, the brand, everything moving forward. So, I mean, that's what I got from that. I hope that to whoever else want to chime in.
Appreciate you, bro.
Mhm.
That's actually real too, like being able to just be mindful of what it is that you're putting out there so that people can receive the message that you're telling, you know? So that's fire.
Okay, yes, I'm now reminded of what chapter 11 was about. Yeah, Walmart. So he said that how they did and what they did didn't change, but their why like kept changing. They let me come back here. So here's what one of my favorite parts. If we as outsiders have lost clarity of Walmart's why, it's a good sign the why has gone fuzzy on the inside of the company also. If it's not clear on the inside, it will never be clear on the outside. When what is clear is that the Walmart today is not the Walmart Sam Walton built. Without understanding the reason it happened in the first place, the pattern will repeat for every other company that makes it big. So, like us, we have companies who are making it big. We can't make this mistake. Um, so I think one of the biggest things that I've gotten from this chapter, from this book so far, is just like really disciplining ourselves as leaders to consistently talk about the why over and over and over and over again. And like we've talked about this before, not being afraid to sound like a broken record. And I've heard that before, but this kind of put a whole new meaning on that to me, because now I realize like what it's important for me to continue to talk about, continue to find everybody like every day as much as we can, every time we talk. um that was what. And the last thing that I highlighted here says they knew how they built it, but for many no longer knew why. Okay. However, for most of us, somewhere in the journey, we forgot why we set out on the journey in the first place. Somewhere in the course of all those achievements, an inevitable split happens. So we're not going to let this happen because we're reading this book.
That's fire.
Those,
Sorry,
those
I didn't realize that was not me.
Mm-hmm. Those with an ability, so this is us, those with an ability to never lose sight of why, no matter how little or how much they achieve, can inspire us. Those with the ability to never lose sight of why and can also achieve the milestone that keeps everyone focused on the right direction are great leaders. For great leaders, the golden circle is in balance. They are in pursuit of why. They hold themselves accountable to how they do it, and what they do serves as a tangible proof of what they believe. So yesterday, me and Imani are working on an event, and we really put that principle like into action. We really like broke our like what our ideas were down and really made sure like, okay, are these practices, are these things that we're talking about, do they connect back to our why? And when you do it thoroughly, it really gives you so much clarity and makes things make sense and gives you that confidence of like, okay, this is all coming together. So that is what I got from this week for my studies of this book. So I'm going to pass it to Imani since she's on the call.
What's up, y'all? Okay. I'm about to head out.
Yeah, girl.
What up, y'all? I had a very long night last night, so I'm pulling it together, okay? So we are, let me go. Hold on. Let me just sit. Let me just sit down. Okay. All right. Happy Saturday, everybody. Woo. So we did what? Chapters 11 and through 13, or was it 12 through 13?
Yeah, so it's 11 and 12. But we did not cover chapter 10 last week. So if you read chapter 10 and you want to touch on anything from that, feel free. It's a really
I
good one.
can.
About communication. It's not talking, it's listening.
All right, let's go. Okay. That's right. So you know what? I'm gonna pass it to somebody else for right now. I need to get my life together, y'all. But okay, no. You know what? I could do that. I could do this. So the inspiration, communication, about listening. I'm passing it to somebody else for right now, y'all. But let me just, I got to get my mind together and it's not together. Passing it to, did Dawn go already? I heard Tay. Dawn, go ahead and take this one for right now.
What's poppin', y'all? What's poppin'? Happy 30. with a fan, book club. We out here Miracle Plans. Yeah. I was looking into these chapters and seeing, okay, but still, you're trying to. Sorry, y'all. Sorry. But looking into the chapters, 11 and 12, they really go in depth. I did not read, but on chapter 10, the communication.
Ron, you broke up a little bit, bro. Did you say you didn't go in depth in the reading, or you didn't read them?
I didn't read.
Heard.
I read the summary and I listened, and that's why I say I didn't go in depth. But like what I understood from what I've gathered was how we can sometimes get lost through the journey, especially when things, big things start happening and the success starts coming, and we can lose sight of the why and forget that that's why we're doing what we're doing, because we're so focused on the what and the how. So it's important to remind yourself and stay in tune with the why. It's definitely something that I have to work on with myself, and reflect and go back to the why, and get back to the basics. Especially getting in this new season after not being in tune as much as I know I can be and have been, just really dialing in and doing things different than what I have done to get different. But I know I missed last week. So just kind of go back to chapter 10 with the communicating. I've definitely been on that type of time and energy as far as listening to understand, speak to understand, and not speak to respond in conversation. And when it comes to me and my family and just communicating things, one of the biggest breakthroughs that I've had recently is just like understanding that like not everybody is on the same levels of learning and understanding. So one thing that is communicated to someone and the way that they communicate that to others is not the way that you intended, and it sometimes causes I wouldn't say problems, but like misunderstanding, a type of misunderstanding. So in that, just having to re-communicate with those who misunderstood, and I feel like hearing them out and understanding like where they're coming from, what they feel, and what perspective they have, so that I know how to best communicate what it is that I'm trying to communicate in the best way that they can perceive it. So definitely one of the biggest breakthroughs. But it's honestly big shout out to the book because I've been in and out of it. Definitely not as dialed in and persistent in reading as I should be, but understanding some of the basics and principles within the book. And so this is definitely going to be a reread for sure. But yeah, what's up, y'all? What's up? We go ahead and go with my boy, Mikel.
Hey, Mikel, if you don't mind, I am ready to go now.
Do your thug thistle.
Okay. All
I
right,
like your
y'all.
hat.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, I'm trying to go outside today. Okay, I am back. So chapter 10, going over the logos and being in touch with your why and how powerful it is for a logo to become a symbol of inspiration. And like him talking about Harley Davidson and how this guy got this Harley Davidson tattoo, which is wild because it's a whole brand and a whole corporation. But that's the whole point. Like they're they were so inspired by the brand, what the company stood on, and how they presented themselves to the public. Like it's the reason why Harley Davidson has been like a huge, figure in the motorcycle industry for decades. I don't even know how many years. But kind of going back to your why is like all these companies have this power to really like inspire people beyond the why. Like once they take care of the why, that's what it seems to me. Like once you take care of the why, then the what and the how come into place, and everything, like you're always able to kind of go back to that why. So filtering your decisions through the why was a huge thing for me too. Like yesterday, I even did it as an exercise, filtering through my why. Like, me and Amber actually went over this too. She was like, if you do come from that place where you are thinking about your why when you're making these decisions, it kind of puts your why into clarity a little bit more. Like if you like, because when we go to chapter 11, it talks about like your why getting fuzzy, which I mean, when you're in it to win it, it's easy to get lost and forget the why because you're so busy trying to like check everything off your list. It's like what you're fighting for, but it becomes more of like kind of background noise when the work is right in front of you. So I definitely have noticed if I forget my why, we actually talked about this a couple weeks ago. Like I think Marcus said that. Like if you forget, your why, put your why. It was either Marcus or Mikel. Post your why everywhere around your house so you don't forget. I mean that's like extremely important. Then chapter 11, I definitely love chapter 11. Kind of being able to go back to your why is a way more impactful to the community, to like everybody's perception about the company. When they were talking about Walmart and when Sam died, like Walmart became what we know Walmart to be today. It's like a whole different vibe. I can't catch a lot of people working at Walmart because like they don't treat their employees well, and it is a lot cheaper. So the quality, I mean, fun fact about Walmart, they be having what is it? The Latter-day Saint Mormons like basically build their facilities, and all the workers are all volunteer workers. So that's how like they're cutting costs. They're freaking having people build their company, build these buildings, and they're not getting paid for it all. And it's supposed to be ethical. I don't know about that. So yeah, that was really crazy to me, like reading that and like reading this book and knowing that's what ends up happening. And then yeah, it was really kind of sad, like reading up on this room full of all these successful people, and they have had success. They've made millions of dollars, and they don't feel that success in themselves. That threw me off because it's really important to have this kind of mindset no matter what, where you are thinking of your why, and that success comes from that place, not all of the things that you've done to get your money. Because money, like, what did he say? It doesn't interest me to write about the idea that money doesn't buy happiness, or in this case, the feeling of success. So no matter how much money that these people have, they still did not feel like they actually succeeded. And like a lot of their happiness and their successful feelings really came from when they were starting the company, when they first came in, and they're just bright and they have all this future before the messiness came in, before the lawyers come in, and like everything gets real serious. They're building this company off of their passions, and then they start figuring out how and what to do to get there. And somewhere along the way, they kind of just like, they forget their why, and they're not happy anymore. They're not happy with they don't feel the success. They only feel the achievement. And damn, that hurt. Make that hurt. So you can even, make money. You put your sights on everything. You like that feeling of success really does come from within, and like tying back to your why. So that was pretty sad. Chapter 12, though, how he said, the reason many small businesses fail is because you can't, passion alone doesn't cut it. You need structure. And that's something for me personally that I'm learning now, how to gain the structure to be able to have the success. Because I have the passion, I have the means, actually, I have the whole thing all kind of set up, except I don't have as much structure as I need to, really get from the why to the completion, and like not freaking out in the middle of it and not forgetting my why. So this book really, especially like chapter 12, talking about structure, was just kind of, I won't say a slap in the face, but like a nice little, like a little jab, a little quick jab. Yeah, like, oh, okay. So that's really important. Like throughout the book, they've been talking about the how people and the inspiration people. Like there's the people who think about it and the people with the passion. You feel me? So those, it's all a part of this grander structure. Somebody needs to mute themselves. Somebody. Tay, mute yourself. Thank you. Okay. So yeah, like throughout the book, that's what it's been like, having the community of people to help you through it, not forgetting your why, being structured, and continuously going back to your why. Like that's just the theme of it all. So yeah, hoping like the rest of this book kind of ties that in together a little bit more, like the structure and how to get from this point to this point, like cross that bridge. Mikkel, you are all good to go now.
You might be eating with fam. Do you need me to do it, bro? Just put a finger up or a thumb up. I think you're eating with fam. Do you need me to do it?
I'm gonna go ahead and call him Marcus.
Okay, I bet. Smooth. I don't think you can hear. Well, girl, I appreciate your insight on it, and the information that you covered, especially through chapter 10, because I wanted to touch on some of that as well. I did want to challenge a little bit of your perspective in terms of how Walmart was able to actually build what they built without having to pay anybody. Essentially, whenever you're getting a brand or a business / organization established, if you are clear as to why you do things and you can communicate without even saying anything or writing anything down what you believe based on your why, because of how you do it and what you're doing, then people will get behind your vision and they will volunteer to help you build it. That essentially is what I believe he was trying to convey throughout that chapter. Yes, I do believe there's some unethical stuff in terms of if you're taking advantage of that or manipulating that. But in terms of what Walmart did is they clarified what they do, how they do it based on why they're doing it. And people who identified with that and believed in it as well got behind that vision and they helped cultivate it. And that's essentially what's required. When he was talking about a logo and a brand at the beginning of chapter 10, he was saying that most companies are bad at communicating what they believe. So it follows that most logos are devoid of any meaning, meaning they don't have any meaning at all, right? He then says, at best, they serve as icons to identify a company and its products. It says a symbol cannot have any deep meaning until we know why it exists in terms bigger than simply to identify the company. Without clarity of why, a logo is just a logo. And here's what I want people to fully understand. Before we even had a name for TGF, before we even had a name for Big Shots, we knew why we were doing it. We wanted to create a positive, encouraging, and a faith-based community that helps people be accepted from where they're at to get exactly where they want to go. And we constantly repeated that, as Amber said, as a broken record, and eventually found people who were down to build that, whether or not they were getting paid for it. And that is very difficult to do, but it's very special because it is the belief behind what you do and how you're doing it that helps people also understand why they should get behind it as well. So definitely understand the perspective, because from a corporate 9 to 5, average or majority of the population type of perspective, like, it doesn't make sense. Why are y'all doing work for free? Like, you need to get paid. But the people that actually understand entrepreneurship, brand building, brand recognition, company, and organizational scaling, they understand that it takes years to build a reputation. It takes years before you're paid for things that you've done over the past 5 years. And eventually it happens like a switch where you won't get paid. I saw a video earlier today of this guy that worked a part-time job for 10 years of his business while his business was running and he was working on it. And then eventually, all of a sudden, like, quote unquote, they will say overnight, he went and started making multi-mills. It's the years worth of building receipts, of building credibility, of building your, not just like the organizational brand, but your personal brand, because they go hand in hand, that allow people to get behind that without even fully understanding yet. And that's the part I believe he was trying to say in chapter 10. He says,
so that's not actually what I was talking about. I'm talking about the unethical part of Walmart, because we all know in the book, it talks about how Walmart has become an unethical company. Yeah. So before, I'm not talking about Sam himself, I'm talking about the corporation. What's going to happen when this person dies, which he did? What's going to happen to the company? And when he died, they started having, in the book, it says they had lawsuits, class action suits against like the corporation, these employees who have been working for Walmart. Like, why do you think a whole bunch of old people work in Walmart now? Because it's an unethical company. And that's what I was highlighting, the fact that
no, I definitely understand that part. And I wasn't going against that part at all.
Well, because you said challenging, and I'm like, okay, if you're gonna challenge me on the right thing, because
I'm talking about your perspective of helping people get behind a vision, whether or not they're getting paid for it, is all I'm saying.
Oh no, but that's not where I was saying, because he did inspire people prior to his death. The company itself lost that vision once he died. So that's where I'm really coming from, like how different it is from the person who has the clear understanding of the why versus a corporation who takes that and switches it to having cheap prices, cutting labor costs, cutting the amount of money that they pay their workers. So that's why I gave that example, not necessarily because they were inspired to. I mean, the Latter-day Saints, they really don't have a choice in it. That's their religion. If you are not down with the religion, you get cut out. You know what I mean? So
No, yeah,
I just wanted to
1000%.
clarify that.
No, smooth. I definitely understood your perspective. I was just talking about and making it relative to where everybody's at, including yourself, myself, of our brand building and recognition. Because you can definitely find individuals who are all for it in the cause, whether or not they're getting paid.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah. But anyways, no, I definitely understand. I appreciate the insight, girl.
Facts.
But yeah, so leading on to it in chapter 10, he talks about that people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. So if what you do doesn't prove what you believe, then no one will know what your why is, and you'll literally be forced to compete on price, on service, on quality, on features and benefits, and the stuff of commodities. So at the end of the day, like, we want to be in a spirit, we've talked about this a lot, a spirit of collaboration over competition. Competition is always going to be there, but if you're in collaboration, you set yourself apart due to the mastermind principle. You get access to information, connections, relationships, and resources that you don't have access to just by yourself. And being able to build a team around that, and then getting around other people in a sense of collaboration, allows you to get clear on stuff like your why, the what, and the how, being aligned with that, and never losing sight of why you guys started to begin with, where you have a competitor's edge without even competing with others, because you're ultimately operating in your full level of authenticity. I really love that he put that out there, because a lot of people view business, and especially in like American cutthroat corporations, as like it's you versus me. And what he's saying is, if you understand you in a deep level and you get clear on that, you won't have to just rely on winning through competition. Yes, there's going to be competition, and competition is healthy, but you'll also have a slider edge principle, because you set yourself apart compared to the rest of what it is that people are doing. So yeah, going into chapter 11, as he wrapped up chapter 10, he said that it's not just what or how you do things that matters. What matters more is that what and the how you do things is consistent with your why. So I like to call it pointing back to your North Star. Like, if you understand where your North Star is at, you can always utilize it as a reference point. Whenever you come towards forks in a road and you're like, yo, is this a distraction, or is this the next step towards where I need to go to get to where I'm going? Like, yo, is this person beneficial and helping me get closer to my goals, or is this person distracting me and keeping me from my goals? You can always have a reference to go off of if you move with the understanding that you know why you're doing things. You understand the overall big vision, the big goal, and you know why you're after it. Your family, your loved ones, a sense of fulfillment, creating something that hasn't been created before. Or Kelsey, the fact that she's in a gym right now, she wants to live a long, healthy life. You know what I'm saying? It's just, if you are reminding yourself of your North Star, of your why, you'll clarify and justify what it is you do and how you do it, and it'll align with it. But it doesn't matter if they're not congruent. I think what I've told somebody before was, like, if you are not moving along the path and the what and how is not aligned with the why, it's like you're doing a whole bunch of things in circles and you're not going to get anywhere. It's going to feel as though you're stuck. I was actually having a conversation with Rigo, but it's going to feel like you're stuck, and you're not stuck. I've learned this through science, but also Bob Proctor, Neno, Alex Morton. It's like energy is continuously moving. The fact that you feel is stuck is completely false and invalid. There's no way you can be stuck. The fact that you're having thoughts means that you have electrons and signals in your brain literally moving from one cell to the other. So even though you feel stuck, you're not. You're just recycling the same thoughts over and over and over and over and over again. So how do you get unstuck, quote unquote? You just change the way that you're thinking, and you make sure that your thoughts that you're entertaining and you're focused on and that lead to your actions are in tune with your why. And that's literally what was very reminiscent of chapter 10 for me, because it made the most sense. Boop, 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 boop. I also liked how he touched on just as like creating and establishing the trust between your marketplace. So essentially what you're doing is the symbols are a representation of a clear set of values and beliefs. It's not a company or organization that decides what is the symbol mean. It's the group outside of the megaphone in the chaotic marketplace who decides. So like if you're aiming for a specific type of market, what does your market need? And why does it help them? Because at the end of the day, if you're providing value to somebody, that means that they are going to compensate you. The only way that you bring value to the marketplace is if you provide a solution to their problem. If you provide things that they're looking for towards what it is that they need to get from where they're at to where they want to be. So in terms of us building our businesses and building our brands, like we just have to remain mindful that it's not about us, is what he was saying. He says like it's obviously important to clarify what an organization believes, and then only then can the symbol start to take on meaning. But that symbol has to have meaning outside of just the organization. Like yes, those inside of TGF, those inside of BMM, those inside of Powerful Creator know what it means and believe it. But do the people outside of our communities and our organizations understand that without having to talk to them? And if they don't, then we have to work on our clarity of what we believe, why we're doing it, and show that throughout how and what we do, period. So I love chapter 10. I was very upset with myself that I didn't talk about that with you guys. So I really wanted to touch on it because I thought it was super important. Because a lot of people think that like building a brand is just creating a logo and a team name or an organization name, and then boom, you're moving and grooving. But it is the furthest thing. Like you've got to establish way beneath the surface the why, the what, and the how. Chapter 11, boo boo. I really wanted to top it up with about what honestly Amber touched on, so I'm just gonna emphasize it in terms of where the separation happens, because that leads in chapter 12. So essentially, just to repeat what Amber read, great leaders are in pursuit of why. They hold themselves accountable to how they do it, and what they do serves as the tangible proof of what they believe. I don't think that is very biblical. Jesus Christ himself says, by their fruits you shall know them. So you can be blue in the face and saying you're a great person, you care about others. But if all your fruits show that you're selfish and you don't, like you were completely playing yourself, and your marketplace will not trust you because they can tell by what you do that you're not about your word. So I think that's a great reminder as he went into chapter 12 of like, be mindful about what you say, mean what you say, and then when you say it, do it. Otherwise, don't say it at all. I think whenever Mikkel and I first connected, like y'all, this is crazy. I'm not gonna cap to you, but the biggest thing that we related on was that for the longest time, we were surrounded by people who literally just said stuff and never really backed it up or meant what they said. And it was very evident throughout the duration of time of those relationships that they were not lining up with their feet and their actions. And we were like, bro, I'm not doing that. And I want to be somebody that I wish I had back at the beginning of my journey. So let's actually hold each other accountable, to hold ourselves accountable, and actually do what we say we're going to do. Actually mean what we say, or don't say it at all, so that we can actually get and progress further. And honestly, in terms of practicing faith principles, literally honoring what God asked us to do in terms of serving other people and being honest and transparent about your intentions with others. That being said, where the split happens is that graph on page 185. If you haven't read it yet, you can literally look at it, and it's a very good depiction of essentially how quick and how simple it is to forget why you do things. And what's wild is, as I was reading this, I had multiple conversations with my brother, with Mikkel, with Don, with Rigo, with people throughout the organization, even Amber, about how like I truly do believe God has been preparing us to understand that, hey, when the blessing comes, don't forget who got you through what you've been through. Don't forget who's providing you with it. But also reminding ourselves that like once we get it, we don't just settle for the fact that we got bread and we forget why we're actually doing these calls, why we're actually showing up and serving people. I've told people all throughout my career, like, I don't care if this takes 10 years. I don't do this for the money. Obviously, I do it to get paid eventually. But the reason why I show up and I've been doing this, whether or not I get paid, is because it's bigger than finances for me. Okay, bet. Yep. Sorry, I was so confused. But anyways, so as you're going and you're doing the what and the how you're doing it, the money is the metric that usually distracts individuals. They think, hey, I created this. This is my bread. Or they think, yo, this is working. I don't have to maintain the same reasons why I was still doing it when I first got started. And what he was reminding people at is that the greatest challenge any organization will face is success. Shout out Marcus Setta, bro, because he gave me a taste of success and this concept before I was even 20. And I'm so grateful because it's completely changed my whole paradigm and why I am hungry for not the money that comes with the success. Money is a byproduct of success. It's not the other way around. A lot of people think you get the money and then you're successful. No, the money comes as a byproduct of your success, but you got to understand what your success yields in fruit and in results. And what he taught me was he sat me down and paid for an exquisite freaking meal. Y'all, I cannot cap to you. You paid for the entire table, said order whatever you want. Felt definitely weird because I'm not used to that type of environment. And I had won this dinner and I got to chop it up with him. Y'all, when I say I had some nice whiskey, I had some nice wine, I had a surf and turf type of meal with dessert, and give me the Brussels sprouts on the side. I was in there, bro. And as I was going in, this is what he reminded me when he left me with. Hey, y'all, one of the greatest and worst things about success is a taste of it. Like, once you taste it, you recognize what it can be, and people then get driven by a fear of losing it. You also could recognize what it is, and you can know and understand that it's also people that you can share it with. And it was just mind-boggling to me because I was like sitting there at the table with 14 other people I've never met before, and all I could think about was my mom, my pops, my family, at the time, my ex, and like the people I wanted to share that experience with. And I definitely understood what he meant and why most people lose sight of why they do it because of the fruits that they yield in terms of what is given to them as a product of their work. And if you understand that when an organization grows and becomes more successful, it becomes physically impossible for one person to make every major decision, then you're able to know that success can be centered around other people that you trust and that you've developed what you're doing with. He says, not only must others be trusted and relied upon to make big decisions, but those people will also start making hiring choices. And slowly but surely, as the microphone grows, the clarity of why starts to dilute. That's where the split happens. And that's why it's so important to be that broken recorder and to communicate. And to my leaders who've been with TGF for a long time, I want to apologize. I feel like I have dropped the ball in that regard. We've constantly repeated it and said it, but I think we could have been more clear with it. And as we grew, some people lost sight as to why they were doing it. And in the face of adversity and in challenges and difficulties, and obstacles and things that were unforeseen getting in the way, sometimes even with a little bit of success, we literally forget what the mundane things that you have to do on a daily basis that lead to the results that you're earning for and wanting for, because you don't understand why you're doing it. It just becomes tasks that you've got to do. And when there's motivation is fleeting, y'all. It's a feeling. Commitment is a choice that you have to decide and make on a daily basis, regardless of how you feel. And that commitment will last beyond the moment that you made the commitment in, or the feelings that you made that commitment in, because you know the reasons why. I literally continuously thank God for my whys, my family, and my future and my legacy, because it keeps me grounded. And I know whenever I get the blessing and the reward for the labor that I've been putting in over the years, when it's compounded and when it's abundant, I will not lose sight of my why, because he's been preparing my mindset for it. And this is what this book is trying to do for people. Is just, you got to be mindful. If you're determined to go and get somewhere and do something different than where you're at currently, then that requires you to progressively realize your worthy ideal, which means you will be successful. But that success is not guaranteed tomorrow as it was yesterday or today. You've got to wake up and decide and do the things that yield to the growth, to the sustainability, to the retention, to the community, to the purpose on everything that you're establishing in the company that you're building and the vision that you're growing. But if you do not remind yourself on the why as a continual basis, you will get lost in the sauce. You will get lost in the sauce. It's crazy. I've seen so many people lost in the sauce, and then when they lose it, they have to re-find it, as Imani was talking about. You've got to literally get unfuzzy again and dive in. I think one of the biggest things Mikkel and I literally butt heads about, but are very, 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 very adamant on with each other, is, bro, we do not want to double back. How do we not double back, bro? Meaning, like, how do we make sure that it is clear and concise and in tune, so that we don't have to go backwards and literally have to restart? Because most people have to, and they do. And that's allowed us to really have direction with the actions that we take, and move forward with an understanding of what needs to be done next, so that we can go and get that. Anyways, the last part I really want to touch on, because no one really touched on chapter 12. Other than like keeping the succession of the why after you're gone, which is like big on the legacy, is this part. And it's literally just a subtitle. What gets measured gets done. What activities are you measuring currently towards building your business? What are you tracking and what are you not? And if you're not tracking it, sit there and actually see what difference tracking a measure could do for your business and your organization. Whether it's revenue on a quarter-to-quarter basis, whether it's the people you're showing on a day-to-day basis if you're building network marketing, whether it's the amount of tasks that you're completing on a daily basis, whether you're tracking how well you've been managing your time on a week-to-week basis. You've got to recognize that you've got to track it. And if you don't treat what you're doing as a business, it will not treat you like one. It's something I learned in network marketing. If you treat it like a hobby, it will pay you like a hobby. If you want it to actually grow as a business, you've got to be mindful and willing to understand what it takes for a business to be successful, and then be clear on the why, so that you do those things whether or not you don't want to do them. So I'm gonna shut up now, because I've been kind of going in, not gonna lie. But y'all, I love you guys, and I'm glad you guys are reading this thing. It's crazy. I wish I read this my first 2 years of entrepreneurship, because I definitely learned throughout being around the right people and getting in the rooms, but it took experience, y'all, and it took like time to actually apply it. And high key, I don't know how many 7 and 8 figure earners I've talked to now who have continuously told me, man, people just don't pick up the books. They don't read them. They don't actually apply what they're learning. They don't care enough to actually change their life. They want the bougie cars. They want the new clothes. They want the time. They want the private jets and the houses. They want the assets, but they can't even sit there and read for 10 minutes. They can't sit there and pray. It's crazy, y'all. Just be willing to do what most people won't. You'll get what most people don't, period. And if you're clear on your why, you'll do that. Love you guys. I'm gonna pass this thing over. Mikkel looks like he's ready. Bow.
to share.
I think you got the wrong AirPod in because I definitely heard.
I think that I can.
Is that better? Boom. I'm learning how to work this thing. What's up, y'all? And you guys can't hear Tia talking, right? Yeah, it's fire. Quit playing.
Look at the
Crazy.
music though. I don't know what y'all.
It's my children's new toy. So I'm sorry, you're just gonna have to kind of deal with that. Is it too loud in the background? Do I need to move rooms? I can move. Yeah, it's okay. I'll move it. But y'all, one, man, all y'all been snapping today. I don't even know how to turn it off, so I'm not doing it right now because the microphone's on. But what up, though? It's freezing in our room. I got a spot over here. My apologies, y'all. I thought I was gonna be cool, but that toy is really annoying, and my dad bought it yesterday. I told him not to buy it, so he bought it. The one loudest toy in the whole swap meet. Shout out to Grandpa. But what's poppin', my people? Excuse the poll. Don't worry about the poll. I'm in the Airbnb. But anyway, look, it's okay. I'm still at my parents' house. Okay, it's they poll, so I'm worried about the poll. But anyway, you guys, this book has been wild, and the alignment of like where life is at right now and where we are at in this book right now is honestly wild. And it always happens on book club. It's kind of crazy, and it usually happens like the second to last week of the book too. It's kind of wild. I'm like noticing all these patterns as I go back and just really peep. It's amazing, man. I'm truly grateful for what we've built here and how we meet every single Saturday. Those who hop on, those who watch the recordings, those who don't hop on and hop on every once in a while, the guests that we be inviting. Like, I truly appreciate the entire vibe of what our TGF Book Club is, first and foremost. But this book reminded me a lot of things that are going on in my life. So, like, one thing that happened recently that a lot of people don't know, book club's always the first to hear all the news, you know what I'm saying? What's up, Mikey? Say hi. Big shout out this man.
Mikhail, tell him to give me the ducks. We're putting it
One
away.
of my wives right here. Mikey, can I have your duckies?
I'll put it back.
Thank you, buddy. Can you go give them to mommy?
No,
No?
just give it to me.
Okay, here. But yeah, y'all, honestly, I ended up leaving the record label like a week and a half ago that I just really partnered with like a month and a half ago. And honestly, things are going great, but ultimately, the CEO and founder, his why was not clear. My why was extremely clear. And when we sat down to really map out, all right, Brooklyn, you guys can go play Play-Doh over there. Play Play-Doh by the bathroom. Here, come on.
Over here, I'll open it for you. Come on.
Go. Can't even run away out here, y'all. It's crazy.
What?
Oh, here, I'll help you. What? My bad, y'all.
Okay, you flatten it.
There you go, bud. Mikey and these Crocs. Whoa, he's obsessed. But yeah, y'all, like honestly, when I just realized when we chopped it up about our why and what was really happening and the direction that we were moving forward and why we wanted to move these certain directions, I was like, oh my man, like you're not clear, you know? So I did not want to be a volunteer warrior. You know what I'm saying? He gave me the opportunity to be a volunteer warrior. I said, hell no, I'm good. So ultimately, like, this is really, I did read, but I hadn't read that part in the book that Marcus spoke about. I hadn't read, like, I had been reading, but that part hadn't really clicked. And as I read chapters 10, 11, 12, I was like, yo, when it comes to the what and the how, that is exactly where my man was focused. And when it comes to majorly successful people, as more success happens, you start to end up switching to focusing on the what and the how versus the why. And when we really sat down, I was like, yo, my man literally only wants to make bread, and I'm not like, that's not why I started this extra project. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have to have some substance behind it. So, with that, nah, bro, we're not gonna move forward in the way that way because it just doesn't make sense to me. I'm speaking vaguely because I got some things I need to wrap up, and this is a public call. Okay, but call me. You know what I'm saying? No thing. But ultimately, you guys, like, it's just wild because as I read the book, it just made sense. And at first, I was kind of conflicted in the decision to move a different direction just because I like am in my own head. Like, am I making the right decision? Am I actually taking care of my family? Am I, it's kind of scary out here being a dad of two and like a full time entrepreneur for real. So with that, I'm like, yo, like I really have to check myself on why I'm making certain decisions and really come back to that. And it's dope to have a business partner and look back upon what we founded and like remember the key lessons that have got us to where we are. And like in those key lessons, I can use those to apply to like my life. And that's why I'm thankful for this system. I know I was kind of everywhere with that, but that's why though, because without this system of having book club every Saturday for the last 2.5 years, without the why of literally just being able to internally affect people and empowerment becoming first, I would not have the clarity I have to make the decisions that I make today in order to actually move forward and better affect our family's life. Period. And as we go through this crazy transition season, and as I all the way come back to why I'm doing what I'm doing and make certain moves as we move forward, I truly have been nothing but excited, even in the midst of like true fear. It's kind of crazy and it makes almost no sense, but shout out God. It makes a lot of sense. So it's wild, man. But ultimately, let me get to a couple of these notes. And let me quit talking out of my butthole. So, a couple of things I screenshotted while I was reading is one, when he talked about the biggest challenge to success, which Marcus kind of brought up that graph, like that was wild because I felt like as TGF, it's kind of where we've been, like over the last like low key 3 to 6 months, I'd say, just about. You know what I'm saying? Maybe a little bit longer than 6 months, but in this season, like we really started to focus on our what and our how, and we in a sense at different times sacrificed our why. And it's just dope to really come back to, hey, why are we doing what we're doing? What are we doing? Where are we going? Who's coming with us? And in that order. So it's been dope to get a realignment and get this graph back moving. We in momentum season. So that was a cool note for myself. And another big note I had from my reading was I think he said, as the megaphone grew, I screenshotted this. Nope, I didn't screenshot it. Nope, yeah, I did. Boom. As slowly but surely as the megaphone grows, the clarity of why starts to dilute. And that was a huge note that I just wanted to put in my phone, just because ultimately it's the truth. And when we make all of like the quick starts and like the next steps and like everything that we do, we literally have me and Marcus like will take it's honestly it's the reason why we're kind of slow at doing things. It's because we really get very serious on why each step happens so that with or without us, the result still happens. Period. And it's not just meticulous in like the what and the how, but it's like truly like where's the come from in these certain actions. And if they do these certain actions, they're more than likely going to come from these certain places. And we have that like in tune to literally like prepare for as we get bigger and as we grow, we literally can't be on the megaphone all the time. Like there's gonna be other coaches and stuff that we have to bring in. Shout out Carolyn Grace. Shout out Powerful Creator. Shout out DMM. Like there's gonna be other pieces. Shout out the New Renaissance with Chi-Town and Tay. Shout out TGF Music overall. Shout out DT23. Oh geez. But ultimately they all like there's going to be other pieces that we have to bring into this ecosystem. And as we trust and bring in more people, the why has to be so concrete in what we do and the come from that the vision of the company stays longer than us. And truly, I'm grateful, like I said, for what we've created here because it breeds that marching of the drum so that we can keep the why consistent. And those that show up literally know, like, yo, it's about changing your mind first. You change your mind, you change your life. Period. So it's dope to see the leaders on here every single week. And it makes me truly grateful for each and every one of y'all because I know y'all come from. And I know that you guys are each growing to actually go and get better, actually go and hit the achievements and levels of success that you want to hit. But ultimately, like, actually go get the result of why you are doing this in the first place. And honestly, that just makes me grateful because it just shows me that, like Bill Gates, we have inspired other leaders, period. So what I read in the book and another thing I screenshotted is, or excuse me, not like Bill Gates, excuse me, have all failed to properly articulate their cause in words that others could rally behind or around in their absence. So not like Bill Gates, unlike Bill Gates. Because ultimately, what's dope is when I'm not here on a Saturday, this call still happens. When Marcus isn't here on a Saturday, this call still happens. On Tuesday night, when majority of us don't show up, DMM is still on the call doing the presentation. On Wednesday night, whether any of us are on the call, somebody's on there doing the call. Like, we've actually created a system that all of us can rally behind. All of us know why exactly we're doing what we're doing. And we continuously get behind that cause and we show up and hold each other accountable for showing up as well. This is literally a volunteer army. And so it makes me proud of what we've created because as I'm reading the book, I'm like, dude, we're doing this all right. You know what I'm saying? We're hitting the pitfalls he's talking about too, but we're learning from him in the same process too. So it's a vibe. You know what I'm saying? That means we're failing forward. So I'm grateful because ultimately I know for a fact that if something happens to the Steels, TGF will keep going and keep impacting people regardless. So I'm grateful. We've articulated our vision, and I'm going to pass it to anybody else who hasn't gone.
Kelsey, have you gone?
Yeah, sorry. Trying to keep up with this man off. He don't know how to drive. Yeah. Good morning. Yeah, these two chapters were something else. I feel like every time we get, like Mikkel said, towards the end of a book, it's just different. But these ones kind of, I was thinking about kind of specific people while reading these. And he's trying to call me like I'm not on the freaking Zoom call. Can y'all still hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I was kind of thinking of like specific people and how to like learn from their mistakes, essentially. Obviously in chapter 11, when your why gets fuzzy, you know, it kind of, if you're not completely solid 100% in your why and are able to articulate that to the other people on, you know, a part of your business, ultimately, you know, it's going to crumble eventually. And then chapter 12, what really stuck out to me there was if you are super passionate about your life, super excited about it, but you don't have structure tagged along with that, it's just not going to work out. And that's kind of where I was thinking about a specific person specifically that, you know, they were super excited about why they were a part of this business marketing and they structure whatsoever. And so I literally watched this person multiple times have these I guess short spurts of success, and it was really, really exciting. But then almost every single time after that kind of wore off, they This dude, bruh. Sorry. But every single time after they had that kind of short stint of success and they were looking for at the time, pretty much every single time they had an even deeper downfall. And I believe it was because that person didn't have structure along with the passion of why they wanted to do what they were doing. This man keeps calling me, so I'm gonna keep mine short and sweet. But yeah, I think everybody else has gone. But Marcus, if you want to take it back, my guy, I appreciate you.
Fatty spaghetti. All right. Well, we appreciate everyone honestly sharing some insights on what we got going on and how we've been honestly getting the key takeaways from the book. I just want to leave everybody with this quick little reminder from the end of chapter 12. And is this: even though the things you do or decisions you make may be good, they won't make sense to others without a clear understanding of why. So it's crazy, y'all. We've had a lot of conflict slash differences in perspective based off of doing things for the right reasons, having good intentions, but not really being as efficient as we could have been in making sure that everybody was on the same page as to why we're doing certain things. So I'm grateful for this book. I'm also grateful for everybody in the organization, whether you're on the call currently, whether you're catching recording, or you don't hear this at all. I'm really grateful for all of it because it has allowed us to gain a new sense of clarity of how to move more efficiently and more intentional. And I'm excited to see how you guys move with more intention with the information you got going on as well. So that being said, our next book is honestly one of the greatest books I've ever read in my entire life. And next week we're gonna be finishing up the book with part 6, but the following book is one that's been known by a lot of people and has high key completely changed the game for me. How to Win Friends and Influence People. Now, I get a little nervous about this book. Reason being is, if you do not move with the right intention, you will take this information and you will manipulate other people. So I want y'all to move with the, looks like Mikhail got something.
I was just gonna say, hence why we just read.
Oh, I might have froze. That sucks. I think he said hence why we read Start With Why. Because y'all have got to be clear as to why you're doing things so that you can take this stuff and you can apply it with purpose. You can apply it with good intention. There's a big difference, y'all, between influence people in the right way and manipulating people. Despite there being a big difference between the two, the line is very short. And you got to be mindful, y'all. This is why accountability is important. This is why your heart and your come from is extremely important. But this book, when you actually utilize it, will literally change the game for you. It's crazy. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like a whole different person after I read this book. And look, you can see, bro, I done written all over this thing, and I cannot wait to read it again because it's gonna literally take things to a whole nother level. So y'all make sure if you don't already have it, go get that. I'll make sure that
Amber just passed me a copy right now, and I was just like, "What?" She's like, "Here, you can have this one." I'm like,
let's go.
"Dang.
Yeah,
Yes,
no.
give me the power. I'm gonna rule the fucking world, y'all. I'm gonna rule the world.
No,
Everybody's gonna be under my spell. I'm down. I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
funny. No, that's real life though. I'm excited, y'all. This book comes with so many key points and principles. So y'all do me a solid. Anytime y'all chop it up with squad, tell them how much they are sleeping if they do not hop on this next one. Because it literally completely changed the course of your career, your entire life, if you actually take it serious enough, truly. So with that, grateful and thankful for y'all. And I love y'all dearly. Let me know if y'all need anything.
Bye,
As
y'all.
always,
Love you so much.
my
Thank
fam.
you.
Say
It's in the
talk.
Yes, sir. Hey, bro, it's in the digital library, bro. So if you don't want the hard copy, Tay, you can get that thing for free in that.
Yeah, bet.
This gives Don a
Flex on
chance
him.
to
Flex on him, Kim.
look. I don't think he ever finished it.
I have it.
Crazy.
Bro, and I was just about to start reading it again
Recording,
because